Thank you very much.
So I'm going to go by the flyer here, and as advertised, kind of give you my perspective on my answers to some of the questions here. So, are we getting the real story about Nano? And I'm going to go out on a limb and say, yes, we are getting it if you look for it. I think the truth is out there. I don't think there's any hoax, any conspiracy, anything going on for people trying to mislead you about what nanotechnology is. You can find crazy perspectives on anything. But I think if you really are asking yourself, can I find out what the truth is about nanotechnology as far as we know? If you look for the places of credible information, I think you can find it. It's there. You just have to balance it against whatever else you hear and kind of make your own decision. So my answer to that question is yes, the truth is out there. But like Joel said, the truth in this case is really elusive because you have to judge between what is a reasonable potential based on what we know and where is it overreaching. Because I've had people tell me that nanotechnology is the future, it's going to change everything, we're going to manipulate matter, throw out all the old rules, we're going to be able to do incredible things or possibly really dangerous things. So that plays into the next question here, is the press guilty of nano height? And the answer to that is yes and no. Here's something that I wrote while I was quoting I did an article about nanotechnology research at ASU, and I quoted one of the professors here. I'll read this just one sentence, but he's not the only one that has said things to me like this. And part of his quote was he was saying, he concluded here, the possibilities for new nanomaterials and devices might be beyond what we can imagine even now. Is that hype? Well, it depends on what you can imagine or not. If you have a very vast imagination, maybe nanotechnology won't measure up to your imagination, but if you have kind of a normal imagination, there probably are things that nano has a very real potential of possibly achieving someday that would say, well, that's not really hype, it's possible. So you get into the whole argument of what's possible, what's plausible, what's probable, and that will keep those three definitions will keep scientists debating for hours. So, yes, is there hype? Yes, there's hype. How can you not hype something, like Joel said, that has this incredible potential to kind of change everything related to our lives that has to do with technology? So, next question, and this is the one that interests me. Does it really matter if the public understands science and technology? And I'd like to hear from you about that when you start to speak, but my answer is big Y-E-S, yes. It really matters more than ever. Because basically, a lot of what's going to happen in the future is not just scientists, engineers, technology, education. A lot of what always happens or doesn't happen because of politics. And in politics, perception rules over facts almost all the time. So if we make decisions on perceptions that are misinformed perceptions, I think we're going to make some serious mistakes. I came across in the Republic just on Sunday, there was an article about a bill proposed in our legislature. Some legislators want to ban cloning. Okay? So the reporter got a reaction from Jason Roberts, who's the director of bioethics policy, director of the bioethics policy and law program at ASU. He's also with the School of Life Sciences. And he was a little mystified about why they would seek to ban cloning when, one, there's no cloning going on and really no prospects for it in Arizona. So he said the upshot of this is nobody in Arizona is actually doing any of this research. It's going to have zero impact on Arizona except to continue to paint a portrait of this state as bizarrely opposed to science. He said the reputation makes it difficult to recruit biologists to Arizona. So, does it matter what people think about science and technology? Yes, it matters, because people's perceptions are going to, or what the politicians are going to listen to, and the politicians are going to make policy based on those perceptions. So yeah, it makes me think of things like, does it matter what people think? And I hear people say, it doesn't really matter what the general public thinks. The scientists know what's going on, the engineers what's going on, the policymakers know what's going on. They're the decision makers, so kind of leave it in those hands of the experts. But we can't do that. I've had situations where I've told people have told me that, I really can't believe this global warming thing, or I really can't get behind this solar energy thing because it makes me think of hippies. And I've had people tell me that, hey, man can't affect the climate, whatever happens is God's will, so there's nothing we can do, just forget about it. So if that disagrees with your opinion, fine, we can debate that a little bit. But those things are out there, and people and politicians listen to what people think, whether they think about it accurately or not. So we're in a time where technology is more intertwined with our lives than ever. It's going to be more intertwined in the future than it is now. It's just scary to me sometimes that people are not more educated about it. It's not like we have to all go out and get PhDs in these things to understand them, but I find it a little concern when I just find people saying things that you can just tell you don't know what you're talking about. And sometimes they could even agree with me, but I still know they don't know what they're talking about. So, that's my take on it. I'd like to get feedback. I'd like to have questions, but my experience I've done, my job is talking to engineers and scientists, and I've done a number of stories about nanotechnology. And as Joel said, yeah, there's hype out there. There's a lot of maybe overreaching on saying what this may bring to us versus what we could actually do right now versus what actually has been achieved. There's a lot of speculation about theoretically what we can achieve. So I think the hype is good. I like the hype in this case because if you have people coming out and say,